Good morning and welcome everybody to our first session of MDX Fire. I'm your host Jon Lee, and with me my friends and colleague Dmitry here on my side.
Hi John.
Good morning. And over on the other side of the world we've got Marius, who's the inventor of TM1 Pi. And thank you very much for your invention, because without that I would have not done much Python, TM1 Pi and all these use cases. Okay, that's another conversation, but thank you very much for joining us. And I want to acknowledge and thank you both for joining us, because it's not easy coming up with this type of content. I mean, we've all got so much things to do, and as you can see, Marius is staying up in the middle of the night to share and add value to the community. And likewise to Dmitry here, thank you. We're coming into the office very early in the morning, let's just say, and even on your day off, so thank you. And that leads us into why we're doing TM1 Pi, why we're doing this TM1 Fire session. Because, look, TM1 Pi adds a lot of value, but MDX Fire, well, when we're talking about MDX, I feel like we can add so much value to the community, because as we see out there in the community and in different projects and our customers and even amongst ourselves, there's so much value when you use MDX in your applications. And it's probably a more popular thing than ever before. And one of the key features of bringing you guys into the show here is you guys have so much real-world experience out there who's delivering high-value applications by using MDX, right? And, of course, you guys are also in the MDX expert group internally here in CubeWise. Now, let's talk about why we're doing MDX Fire, yeah? So I've just given a bit of context. I would like to ask you guys personally to share what compel you to spend some time with us and give back to the community. Dmitry?
Well, it's all about sharing, John. So yeah,
sure is.
And besides, what's great about MDX. It's what's great about TM1. TM1 is a you heard this expression probably, freedom under the law, and MDX fully allows you to utilize this potential to make it great, to be more expressive, to deliver better value to your customers, to the business, to utilizing this such a great tool as TM1.
What about yourself, Marius?
You know, I often look at TM1 from a Python perspective, coming from Python, and MDX has become like the default way to retrieve data from TM1 into Python. So it's absolutely critical for many of the projects we do with TM1 Pi. And I think it's still underrated, and it's not just underrated. I also feel like we could spread some knowledge through these sessions. Yeah, as you said, we're trying to give back to the community.
Talking about giving back to the community, let's set the bigger picture here. So today is the first session in our new studio during the MDX Fire session. Now, this is designed to be a mini-series that will cover various different topics into a lot more detail. It's going to be about 4 to 6 sessions. Would you like to take us through what we have installed for everyone?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, in each show, we're going to at least give one tip of the month, and we give away an MDX secret, which is a useful feature which is probably not so well aware, and we're just going to share that with the community. And generally, we're just trying to share our love for MDX. Like me, obviously coming from Python, I also see MDX like a bit of a gateway drug to TM1 Pi, which I hope to sort of like show how these things, TM1 Pi and MDX, can come together and be good friends. But then, I mean, for the next sessions, I think we're going to look into tooling. What are the tools that we want to use with MDX and TM1? I think we want to look at do's and don'ts. What do people do wrong with MDX? And Dmitry.
Yeah, we'll try to give as much practical examples as we can. We will talk about the ETL with using dynamic views in Turbo Integrator. So this is a whole new world that is available now for people, and it's still very much underutilized by community. So yeah, and we really rely on your feedback. We really want to know your desires here. What do you want to know about MDX? What kind of practical examples you want us to focus on and to show? Because I think we plan to do one secret special session based on your particular feedback. Jon?
Absolutely, yes. And that's why feedback is important. Give us your feedback. Tell us what you want to know, and especially if there are use cases you want us to prove and work on, please do, because this is, once again, for the community, for the love of sharing. That's what we do here in CubeWise, and we want to help. So send those feedback in. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I think the do's and don'ts, it's going to be about session 5. And if you guys are interested in MDX, I would strongly recommend you guys to stay all the way through our journey into 2021 with our MDX Fire sessions, because I think do's and don'ts is where people are going to get extremely valuable information, because that can't be faked by just hearing about MDX. It's through a lot of experience you guys have learned through the projects, and people asking you many different questions, and you guys are distilling that info for everybody. Yeah, so that's something to highlight. Now let's take a step back. Now, what do you guys see as the role of MDX inside the world of planning analytics? So for the people who's listening, and maybe a little bit new to this area, what can they expect to understand about the context of MDX and how it can add value to their applications?
So before I answer this question, I'll probably start with a little story here. And a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, there was an article, and there was an event happened in this world that was it didn't drag as much attention as it should be. And I'm talking about the quite an experimental nuclear reactor, the tokamak it's like a research tokamak in United Kingdom, produced its first plasma after an upgrade. So which, it sounds like a gibberish for most of the people, but what's important that we are one step closer to their absolute source of their renewable free energy, free for all. So we're one step closer to the future. And the future is bright, and it will literally be bright because it will be lit by this, by the energy. And what we're doing here, we kind of also deliver in future here, because MDX for TM1, it allows you to go to the next level, to open the opportunities that previously were kind of maybe not very much open, or maybe they were you can redesign the view, how you query the data, and to make it much more dynamic, much more, again, valuable for you, for yourself. And that's what we're doing here. That's how I see the role of the MDX, and that's what I want to share.
Excellent. I think I see where you're getting it. MDX to TM1 Pi is almost like nuclear fusion, right? There's so many new possibilities that we can do. And I mean, obviously, I see this from a Python perspective, just being able to precisely get exactly the data you need in a fast way and in different formats. It's awesome. But also with the things that come with hierarchies or asynchronous selection, all these new features that MDX enables us to do, I think it's as you said, it's nuclear fusion.
Nice catch, Marius. Nice catch. Thanks.
Wow. Okay, that is grand. Now, I didn't think about nuclear fusion. I was just thinking in the scope that, hey, MDX really helped to improve the efficiencies, because there are lots of different tools that use MDX in the planning analytics world across all different interfaces, new and old, including Python and T1 Pi, of course. And from my experience, MDX just helps that efficiency so much. And that's why I'm super excited about it, especially this year. Now I get to work with MDX more than before. I just hope people will come to make friends of MDX instead of being afraid of it, because it can be so daunting,
Intimidating.
Yeah, intimidating, yes. Treat it like a friendly neighbor, not your enemy. Forget that reference. Anyway, so moving on, I believe you've got the tip of the month for us. Is that right, Marius? Before you share the secret of MDX
That
this
is
month.
absolutely right. We want to talk about the tip of the month.
Okay, all right.
You guys want to see it?
Yes, please.
Okay, let's look at the tip of the month. So we wanted to talk about something that I'm sure everyone's familiar with, but maybe that's something that we don't think about on a day-to-day basis. But perhaps we should think about this more, because we see a lot of people getting this wrong. So here the problem we're facing is we want to filter the state dimension by the region, and we're looking for the attribute West. So it's as you can imagine, it's the states of the USA, and we're looking for the states that are located in the West. And if you press the record button in the old subset editor, it'll generate this expression for you. So I may have to authenticate here, but it should work. So you see it worked. It produced the state that we were looking for. But there's a problem with this query. The problem is that here, to reference the attribute, we're using the short notation. So we're writing state.region. This works as long as there's no C element or N element, which is called region. Once someone adds an element to the dimension with the name region, this query is going to break. So it's not a good practice. We shouldn't do it. And let me show you another way to accomplish the same thing. So here you see this is the slightly larger version of the same query. It uses the official Microsoft notation to filter by an attribute. This way of querying for an attribute, you would also see in the official Microsoft documentation. So if you execute this, we get the same result. And you will never run into name conflicts between attributes and elements. But there's one problem associated to this approach. The way it is implemented in TM1, it doesn't work well with numerics. So here's another example. Here we're filtering the years for the elements that have 52 weeks. So you see the West was a string attribute. This is a numeric attribute. And if we just filter, we would expect to see many years, but we don't see a single one of them. And why is that? Let me show you what you can do. Filtering for a string, you get the expected result. Like here, we're getting all the years that we were expecting to see. But in order to get the right result, you'd have to be very explicit with the number of digits. If you're not, you don't get the years that you want to see. So this is quite a critical issue, right? So we don't recommend to use this notation either. There's the third one, which we think is the best, but unfortunately it's a bit verbose. So let me show you this notation, and then I'll show you that it works for string attribute and for numerics the best, and you will never have an issue with a name conflict. So the same part of the query is always the same, right? We're looking for filter, TM1 subset all. But then here, instead of using the short notation, state.region, we are doing some kind of like a tuple lookup into the element attributes cube. So we're looking into the element attributes cube and looking at the attribute region. And then here we can look for a string, and it works, like you see below. And also we can filter by a number, and it works. So key takeaway is please use this notation when you're filtering for by attributes. It's just a bit verbose, if you feel 100% confident that the name of the attribute will never conflict with the name of an element, maybe you can stick to the old one. But as a good practice, you should probably use this notation.
Nice.
Do you guys want to add anything to that?
No, Marius, it's very well put. The only thing I will be like, as a being a purist of MDX, I'd say that when you address the cube there, you will try to put the complete tuple so you try to explicitly put all the dimensions. So I'd put the dimension wherever year dot current member.
Thank you.
And
it makes it a bit more readable, doesn't it?
Yes, and it makes it a bit more logical. But what you showed before, it's also absolutely valid point. Yeah.
Great tips, guys.
Okay. Yeah, that's the tips I wanted to show.
And that's the tip of the month. So thanks for sharing that. Now, before we get to the next part, now this is the time. If you guys like what you see, please put in some comments and give us some feedback. Tell us what more you would like to see, what less of you would want to see less. And look, feedback drives what we deliver. So please participate. And of course, if you don't give us feedback, then the use cases that we do our special session, well, you're just going to miss out. Something to keep in mind.
Probably they won't be as exciting as you can make it.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Yep, okay. So now moving on to the secret sauce. So I believe there's some secrets of MDX you want to share today? Just
yes, and it's me again who shows it. Next time, Dmitry, it's gonna be you. But,
yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to show a very, very secret keyword, which probably many people don't know yet. Right. So this is an MDX query, right? In the other sample, we were looking at set expressions. This is an expression that essentially acts like a view. It's like a slice of the cube. And with the MDX, you're specifying what you want to see. So here we are getting some sales data from the record sales cube. We're going to put two measures on the rows, the quantity and the amount. And then we're going to put tuples of the store and the period, like you see here, on the columns. And now if I execute this, it'll just work, I assume. And you see, we get exactly the slice that we demanded to see through MDX. And now, now I wanted to show the secret here. So let's say if we break it, like we're writing a year which doesn't exist in the dimension, you'd see that nothing comes back. It fails. It says member not found. And even though just one tuple was broken, we don't get a single cell back. And now let me show you the secret keyword. So here we can write TM1, ignore bad tuples. Wow, did you see that? So now the query doesn't fail anymore. We only get the two tuples that are valid, Sydney and Melbourne for 2015. And the year 3000, which doesn't exist, it just doesn't come back. So our query we still get some data back. I think that's quite useful. You guys think?
No, that's a great tip, Marius. And just where it came from, when you go into POR and you start creating views in POR, Plain Analytics for Workspace, Plain Analytics for Workspace leverages this command and wraps all its expressions auto-generated MDX into using this TM1 ignore bad tuples. And that's again, that gives you another level of freedom that obviously your model can change. Some element that exists before could disappear. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Great tip.
Maybe the very, very best practice here, which just like explaining on this, is not to hard code. Try to avoid hard coding the element names into the query, because like why you want to do it. But sometimes it's inevitable. I can imagine that we can have very certain reports where we want to put actual budget, so the names of the elements from the dimension, and they always should be actual budget. Yeah. So this is a great tip, Marius. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have user input, you have uncertainty, right? And this helps us to deal with uncertainty.
Yeah,
absolutely, and that's the flavor of the year, isn't it? Dealing with uncertainty.
Don't even start.
Thank you for sharing that. I was going to say tip again, but no, thank you for sharing that secret. No, it's very good. Okay, so now I've got one last question to wrap up today's session. And this is a new one for us. Yeah, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this before. So if there was one thing you would like to see more of in the TM1/MDX world, what would that be? Dmitry?
That's a good one question. What I want to see more in TM1 MDX world? Better documentation.
That's a good one. So I'm just I wish for something smaller. I only wish for MDX views working nicely with clearing slices of the cube, which currently they don't, unfortunately. But that would be really useful.
And for me, I wish people would just get to know MDX a little bit better. Yeah, don't treat it like a stranger. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what we have for you guys today. Remember to give us some feedback, and our contact details will be around this episode, around the screen. So please subscribe, tune in. We look forward to seeing you more and sharing a lot more value add and secrets and tips in relation to MDX. Thank you, Dmitry. Thank you, Marius.
Thanks, Marius.
Yeah,
Thanks,
my
Jon.
pleasure.
Woo!